Okay, here we have solving some simple rational functions. So now we are, or rational expressions, so we've been working with them, but now we have some equations where we're actually going to use them to try and find x. Hopefully you remember one of the quick strategies, if you have a fraction equals a fraction, you can always just cross multiply it to solve, and that's what we're going to do for this one. X squared is x times x, 5 times 20 is 100. When you take the square root of both sides, you have to take plus or minus, don't forget that. One of the top 5 algebra mistakes. And then you get x equals plus or minus, square root of 100 is just 10. And you can check your solution here. 5 over negative 10 equals negative 10 over 20. That's true. 5 over positive 10 equals 10 over positive 20. Also true. B, this one's also set up to be possibly cross-multiplied here. We have 2 times x minus 6. And the other diagonal is 10 times x. So 2x minus 6 equals, forgot to distribute to both pieces. Again, another top common algebra mistake. 2 times x minus 12 equals 10x. Solve this by getting x by itself. Negative 12 equals 8x. And to isolate x, we're going to divide both sides by 8. X equals negative 12 over 8, which is the same thing as negative 3 over 2. Okay, let's go back to, we should go down to C here. Actually, C is a little more difficult than I think I would have liked to have here. I'm going to at least show the setup, but I'm not going to ask you to factor the kind of problem that shows up from this one. But anyway, if we cross multiply this, we would get 2m times m minus 1. So the process is still the same. You'll see what I mean in a second, what I was talking about. 3 times m plus 4. To distribute both there, we get 2m squared minus 2m. Distribute to 3. 3m plus 12. Now, in order to solve quadratic expressions, we need to get everything equal to 0, so we remove everything to one side. So we're going to subtract 3m from this side, subtract 12 from this side. That'll give us 0 on the right, and then we'll have 2m squared minus 5m minus 12. So this is what I was talking about. There's this quadratic expression. You should be able to solve it. We've not really solved it by factoring. You could put it into the quadratic formula. Maybe we'll just do that one here. But I think on the answer key, I solved it by factoring also. You could do guess and check on the factors to get it to be this. And then you would set each of those equal to 0 to solve it. Or if you're going to use the quadratic formula, maybe as a good review, remember that's A, that's B, that's C. The quadratic formula, they would say x equals the opposite of B. So 5 plus or minus the square root of B squared, which is 25, minus 4 times A times C, all over 2 times A. And if you went ahead and finished that expression off or put it in your calculator, you'd get 2 solutions, and they would be 4 and negative 3/2 as well. But again, I'm not going to add this fact that this leading coefficient was 2 was a little more difficult than I would have liked. Here I guess you notice it's a little more difficult. We can't just cross multiply. We have to get some things to a common set of fractions, and then notice here how we already have pieces that are in the same common fraction. So one idea, actually I have one idea on the answer key which you could look at. I'm going to just show a different idea here. I'm going to write this here. So these have the same common denominator. So the question is, how do I get 3 to have that same common denominator? Well, I can just multiply it by x plus 7 over x plus 7. When I do that, I'll have x over x plus 7 here. This will be minus 3x plus 7 over x plus 7. And this equals negative 1 over x plus 7. here, we can simplify this right side, x plus 7, so we get x. Remember, those have to distribute, so x minus 3x minus 21 equals negative 1 over x plus 7. And one idea here is you can notice that this have the same denominator, so I can just set the numerators equal. If you did cross multiply, those would just cancel out anyway. So that's the idea I'm going to use here, is that since these are equal, these also have to be equal. So I'll have x minus 3x minus 21 equals negative 1. This will give us a negative 2x equals 20. When I move the 21 over there, you get x equals negative 10. So two things to really notice here is that the strategy is you need to get this to some common denominators so that you can simplify to the point of being able to solve. Okay, so a little nod to Maggie here. I think I had a problem similar to this in a review packet. I'm sure I did actually. But so the question is, we have, what does batting average mean? Well, just for the 400 here, it's how many times you go up to the plate. And if you have 40 hits, like so example, if you went up 100 times and you got 40, your batting average would be those things divided, so 0.400. So the first thing here is if Maggie has a batting average of 0.2 over at 90 times at bat, let's just figure out what does that mean. So if she's batted 90 times, it doesn't actually say how many hits she currently has. We'd actually have to solve this little expression here. So x is 0.2 times 90, which is 18. So Maggie's currently has 18 hits, so that's where the 200 is coming from. It's 18 over 90. So now the question is, she's going to bat some more consecutive times, and she needs to get some hits. How do we get her batting average to 240? Well, we know we want the answer to be 240. She's going to start with 90 and come up to the plate, I don't know, n times. She has 18 hits, and we're saying consecutive hits, so all those at-bats are going to also be hits here. And so this amounts to solving this expression. And then we can go ahead and cross multiply and set equal. So that's what we did here, is cross multiply. There's an implied 1 there. So 0.240 times 90 plus 0.240 n equals 18 plus n. This is 21.6. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 0.24n from both sides here. That'll give us 18 plus 0.76n. Subtract 18 from both sides will give us 3.6 equals 0.76n. And then n will be 3.6 divided by 0.76, which is 4.74. You can't get 4.74 consecutive hits, so she'd actually have to get 5 to make the average go above 240.